YouTube us that going the Goat House is back, and today we got linebacker duo rankings for the 2020 NFL season. We recently did all kinds of trio rankings, duo rankings, so check those out. More ranking and predictions to come leading up to the season, and then full predictions in season, so hopefully you can subscribe to us here and join us for all those videos. Something important to keep in mind is we're not including pass rushers in these linebacker duo rankings. 3-4 defenses have outside linebackers as their pass rusher. We're just using off-the-ball linebackers here. So 4-3 outside and inside linebackers. Please subscribe. Like I said, we really appreciate it. We really appreciate the support to help us get to 50K recently. We got two channels, the Goat House Plus. We have a Twitter, keeping you guys updated, always talking football, keeping you guys involved as well. So you're going to want to follow that Twitter and check out that podcast. Any link that you need will be down in the description in the comments. So what I did here for the linebacker duos, I ranked 12 teams plus one sleeper. We're going to start with the sleeper team. That's the Arizona Cardinals. Isaiah Simmons, one of the better linebacker prospects I've ever seen, really. A total do-it-all guy. I don't know if we've seen a guy quite like Simmons. You can't really compare him to anybody else. So I expect him to get off and running pretty early. It's going to be interesting to see how the Cardinals use him. They've been playing a 3-4, so it's going to be interesting to see. They also have Jordan Hicks, and they have Devondre Campbell from the Falcons, who's been a tackling machine. I think these two are their best off-the-ball linebackers. There is a chance they use Simmons as more of a pass rusher, which I wouldn't be against, but I kind of want them to use him to all of his abilities. Don't just stick him in one spot. Don't just put him on the edge. So we'll see what they do with them. And this could be actually better than maybe the sleeper. It's just kind of a lot of question marks here. But Jordan Hicks, second year with the Cardinals now. And Isaiah Simmons, I think, if used right, which is kind of hard to not. He's kind of hard not to use right. I think he'd become a top-tier linebacker very early on in his career. But number 12 on the list is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. They added Joe Schobert to the mix. With Miles Jack, situation going on with Telvin Smith. They missed him last year. They're not going to have him this year either. And now they bring in Schobert kind of to replace that. So now they got two. They could get creative. They've been running a 4-3. Miles Jack, I think, is a better fit outside. So maybe they brought Schobert in to put Miles Jack in his correct position, put Schobert on the inside. Or they kind of have the flexibility to move to a 3-4 just because the other players they have, look at their pass rushers, so they can keep both these guys on the inside because a 3-4 defense does include two inside linebackers. Schobert's coming off a career year with the Browns. Excellent year. I don't really see anything that's telling me he's not going to, it was a fluke. He's not going to play that good. So I like the pickup for the Jags. Miles Jack, on the other hand, really hasn't played as good since his first year. It's kind of interesting. He's been playing a lot of inside linebacker. I kind of view him as an outside. Obviously a good player. I just don't think he's been as good as I expected him the last couple of years. So now that he could be playing the right position, now that he has Joe Schobert with him, I think he could be playing a lot better. So pretty solid duo. Yeah, obviously nothing tremendous. No top-tier talent here, but a really balanced, solid duo here. Two good players for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 11 is going to be the Indianapolis Colts. And yeah, Darius Leonard kind of carries this group a little bit because how good he is, a top-tier talent, elite talent at the linebacker position. And Anthony Walker here, a tackling machine. He's a solid player. So I know Darius Leonard carries this group a bit, but Anthony Walker is still a solid young player. They also have Bobby Okereke from Stanford a year ago who can actually step up as well. But I like Leonard and Walker for this duo. Again, it's duo, so I'm looking for more of the balanced groups. But Walker had a pretty good year. Yeah, again, was a very, very solid in run support. But Darius Leonard obviously had his young career already considered an elite linebacker. So let's see if he can somehow continue to improve, which wouldn't be out of the question because of his, how long he's been only a few years in the league here and where his age is at. So we'll see. The Colts are at 11. Number 10 is going to be the Seattle Seahawks, Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright. Bobby Wagner, known as, regardless of the specific linebacker position, you could argue that is the best linebacker in football. You definitely can make the case he's the best middle linebacker in football. So Bobby Wagner does pretty much get them on their list, but you can't have a weak spot to make a duos list. So KJ Wright, obviously not being a weak spot, a very solid duo, a very solid linebacker to go with Bobby Wagner. He's definitely declined, though. He's not really anywhere close to where he was maybe 3 years ago, but is still a solid player. Yeah, maybe a few years ago we're talking about the Seahawks maybe being 1 on this list. So yeah, Bobby Wagner carrying a little bit. So that's kind of what brings him down to 10, but still on the list because of the talent here. Number 9 is going to be the New York Jets, and it's really about health with this group. We've seen them beat up. They actually have very good depth. They made sure they got the depth for this position. Got a few other players. Last year's draft, Blake Cashman, and this year, Owoso from the Ravens. They've been another guy from the Ravens, C.J. Mosley last year. So, and they got a pretty good group there. So if anybody goes down, but yeah, it's about health with this really good duo. The duo that makes the top 10. C.J. Mosley, a couple years ago, known as a top 3 lock of a top 3 inside linebacker, and Avery Williamson has been very solid as well, hit most of his career there. So a really good duo if they're healthy. I keep going back to that. So, if we get to see them play together, we get to see them stay healthy, they can shoot up this list better than 9. So we have an idea what their talent level is, obviously, why they're on the list. So really good duo. Yeah, again, just need to see them stay healthy. Number 8 is going to be the Dallas Cowboys. JAYLON Smith has had a fantastic career, especially considering, worrying about the really bad ACL injury, one of the worst that those doctors have ever seen. So you're kind of concerned about that, a top prospect that drops because of that, but he's been healthy. He's been lights out for them. Leighton Vander Esch is kind of the tricky one, how to rank the Cowboys, because you look at him, his rookie year was outstanding. Basing it off of his rookie year and the way, which was 2 years ago, and the way JAYLON Smith's been playing, you could argue number 1. I probably wouldn't put him at 1, but you can argue they're definitely at the top. But then there's the questions of Leighton Vander Esch. You look at last year, the first half of the season he played. Then you bring up the question, was he playing injured? Most think so. He was nowhere near the level he was his rookie year, which is kind of odd. He was pretty inconsistent. He was pretty sloppy early last year. And then the injury came up, and that's that same injury on why I didn't really want or didn't like him in the first round of the year because of the draft because of that injury. He kind of proved that wrong. He proved that he's very talented the first year, but that's only 1 year. So more to see from Vander Esch. Definitely more to see because, again, the first half of last year I wasn't happy with his play compared to the year before, and then he had the injury come up. He very well could have been playing injured and almost, very close to being a guarantee that he was. But I guess none of us really know 100% for sure. But I guess it's kind of on him. I still think JAYLON Smith kind of, I don't want to say carries because Vander Esch obviously has that talent in him. But there's still more question marks for Leighton Vander Esch, and that's why I couldn't put them, especially with the other 7 talented groups. You got to keep in mind that. It's not just about this team. That's why I couldn't really put them higher. Number 7 is going to be the Houston Texans. This is the strong part of the Texans' defense, and nobody really talks about that. I don't know why. Nobody really talks about it. BENARDRICK McKinney is very underrated. This is a ball player there in the middle, a tackling machine, dominant in the run support, but really he's impressive in all categories as well. So I think he's definitely on the underrated side. And Zach Cunningham seems to be getting better every single year here. I think it's a very good pairing. This is the strong part of their 3-4 defense, the inside linebacker position, when they got 2 of them here, McKinney and Cunningham. So they are at number 7 there. It could be a pretty underrated group. It depends on how everyone else would rank them. But number 6 is going to be the Chicago Bears. Their young inside linebacker, ROQUAN Smith, who they got a couple years ago out of Georgia. We missed him some games last year, so want to see more. What was impressive to me is the ability to be involved, I guess, getting after the quarterback, using him in blitzes. That was impressive to me. I didn't really expect that much of that from him, so that's kind of that bonus part of his game. And I think he's kind of taken that spot where he should this year of him being the best linebacker in this really good duo. But Danny Trevathan has been lights out his whole career. Yeah, maybe not quite as good as he was 2 years ago. But he's in the ballpark, and he's still a very solid player. So as a balanced duo with some upside here at ROQUAN Smith, he's got quite a bit of upside there. Number 5 is going to be the Buffalo Bills' Tremaine Edmunds. Speaking of ROQUAN Smith, Tremaine Edmunds in that same draft class, that really good at the top inside linebacker draft class. Tremaine Edmunds was kind of known as that raw prospect. He may not struggle, but close to there early on. He's kind of just athletic, big freak, a rare size, but he has the talent. But he's lights out right away, and the way he's been able to, play at a high level right away and improve over these last couple of years has been very impressive. So I think there is no limit really to Tremaine Edmunds. I think he's going to continue to get better. I think he's going to be known after this year as one of the better inside linebackers in football. Matt Milano has been, I guess, surprisingly impressive. Yeah, he's one of my sleepers in the draft a few years ago, but nobody really expected this amount of talent from him the last couple of years. last 2 years, lights out for him. So it's Tremaine Edmunds definitely the better of the group, and I think he'll continue to get better. But it's a pretty, they're both really good talents here. Number 4 is going to be the Minnesota Vikings. Eric Kendricks coming off a career year for him. Always good in run support. We knew that. I think he took his game up a huge step in terms of pass coverage. Was really clutch for them. On crucial 3rd and 4th downs. It seemed like every time they needed a 3rd or 4th down stop, it was Eric Kendricks. So he had a monster year. It's tough to say if he can repeat that because it was such a crazy year for him. He's always been good, but he's never been like that flashy. He'll have his big hits in the backfield. He'll sniff out plays, but he's never been that flashy. So we'll see if he can do it again. I'd say in the ballpark, but that was a very impressive season. Anthony Barr, I expect to be a little better this season. The thing with Anthony Barr, he's kind of that game plan situation for other teams, for offenses, because you don't know if this guy's rushing the passer, you don't know if he's dropping in coverage, you really just don't know what he's going to do because he can do just about everything. I wish they would rush him a little more, kind of get the sack numbers higher. It's not all about the sack numbers, especially for a off-the-ball linebacker, but he does get a lot of pressure when he does go after the quarterback, and that shows. So a pretty good duo here. It's kind of been known as Anthony Barr's group, but after Kendricks his performance last year, he's probably the better of the group, but Anthony Barr definitely has more to his game. But they come in at number 4. Number 3 is the Tennessee Titans. Jayon Brown and Rashaan Evans. A really balanced group. At any time you can say that Rashaan Evans is better. At any time you can say that Jayon Brown's better. And these guys are absolute studs. I think both very underrated. We talked about that draft class of ROQUAN Smith, Tremaine Edmunds. Rashaan Evans was in there as well. And I think they're all pretty equal in talent. Yeah, maybe Tremaine Edmunds the most upside. He'll probably be the better one this year. But the Titans have this guy, Jayon Brown, who's extremely underrated. This guy does about everything. This is the key to the Titans' defense. Titans got some other ball players on their defense. This is the Titans' defense right here. The inside linebackers that they love to do pretty much everything with. They'll quarterback spy. They'll stop the run at a high level. They'll get after the quarterback. They blitz them a ton. And this is an extremely good group. I'm also banking on this young group, because maybe based off last year, maybe like the Vikings linebacker unit was better, for sure. I'm kind of, for this being the 2020 season, I think both these guys at the same time take that next extra step when they already been playing at a very high level. To me, this is the Titans' defense right here. They got other good players, but this is their defense. So I'm banking on them with big-time step-ups, even though they're already plenty good enough. Number 2 for me is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. You got Fred Warner, who I think is going to be scary. I think he's going to continue to get better. This is today's linebacker, flashy, rangy, has the speed, can get pressure on the quarterback because of his athleticism off the edge or on the inside if he's blitzing. And then obviously very good in coverage. That's what he did well coming out of college as well. And just really good, playing I just look at teams that run that outside zone. They really try to get the offensive lineman downfield and get the running back on the outside. And you think because of his frame, he'd be easier to block, but he destroys those types of plays. He's too athletic and too instinctive. So it's scary that Fred Warner can continue to get better, but he can. And Kwon Alexander really can get better as well as long as he's on the field because he has the injury concern. He was lights out when he was on the field. We know how good he is in run support and being rangy, kind of getting downhill, but I think he's very underrated in coverage. I've seen him cover downfield, kind of get out of his zone and make that play. I think that's what kind of goes unnoticed for a linebacker like this. So really it's about staying healthy, which it is about for the whole Niners team because we know they're probably more talented than anybody in terms of complete roster. It's about staying healthy, and a guy like Kwon Alexander is a good example because this guy is extremely talented. And at any time, he could be better. You can consider him better. Honestly, Alexander might be better than him, but Fred Warner with the upside and the health, it's maybe it's a little easier to say Fred Warner's like kind of their number 1 there, but it's good to have both of them for them because these guys are very impressive. Number 1 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for me. LAVONTE David, in my opinion, is the best all-around linebacker in football. He does everything. We've seen him switch positions basically because they go from a 4-3 to a 3-4. He plays the inside. He gets after the quarterback. He's so rangy. He's insane in coverage. It's about staying healthy for him. He was healthy last year. And Devin White is another version of LAVONTE David. We see him come out of LSU. We're trying to figure out, what is his best trait. This guy's so good in coverage, but he just sniffs out some runs and he just fires through, gaps and hits the back in the backfield so many times, and you see the freakish speed, the freakish strength. You can't figure out what this guy's best trait is, and he's got a total package of those traits, and that's exactly LAVONTE David there. So they got a really good duo. In my opinion, David is clearly a top 3 linebacker, and Devin White is on his way to the top. They're not going to be far off in his second year. So I think without a question, I don't think there's any question, as long as they're healthy, because we've seen David hurt in the past. Unfortunately, we've seen Devin White beat up a little bit last year. I think it was more just playing it safe because it's a rookie. We don't want to ruin his future. Teams tend to do that. But if they're healthy, I don't think there's a question. I think this is number 1 by far for the Buccaneers here of the linebacker duos in the NFL for 2020. In the comments, let me know your rankings. Let me know where you think you agree or disagree with me. Let's compare everyone's rankings and thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button. Check out both of our channels. Please subscribe. Turn notifications on. We would really appreciate all that. And that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.